Good morning, sports fans, and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the biggest results and talking points from across European football. Joining myself, Doogie Critchley, today, I've got Michael McCubbin for your viewing pleasure. McCubbs, how are we doing on this Monday morning?
Yeah, not too bad, Diggs, not too bad. Bit knackered, had quite a full-on weekend. Went to the cricket with some of the FD boys on Saturday, and spent most of yesterday kind of half asleep on the sofa watching the football. So all in all, pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, good. That's what Sundays are all about, being curled up half asleep watching football. I love that. I am all well, thank you. Sunderland are playing Middlesbrough tonight in the Championship, which is a huge game, so I'm very excited for that. But we've got plenty of talking points today across Europe as well. Let's start with our transfer story of the week, which seems a bit silly in the week after the window closed, but we've actually got a big deal to talk about. Diego Costa to Wolves. What's going on with this one, McCubbs?
Yeah, I mean, it beggars belief, doesn't it? The Athletic are reporting that Wolves are closing in on a deal for former Chelsea striker Diego Costa. Obviously, this is an emergency deal, isn't it? Sasa Kaladzic was brought in, last week, was it? For 17.4 million euros. He suffered an ACL injury just 45 minutes into his debut in that 1-0 win over Southampton on Saturday. So that's left them scrambling for another new striker. Obviously, injury issues with Jimenez. You kind of precursing the Kaladzic deal. That seemed to be, he seems to be a kind of missing link there. But now they've had to go in for Diego Costa, one of the kind of few established names still on the market. He's 33 years old now. He was released by Atletico Madrid in January. So that means obviously the largest side can sign him outside of the window. And the Athletic claim that he could be flown into the UK as soon as tomorrow for physical examinations and then could sign for the club immediately, which I guess would make him available for the next game on the weekend. He's obviously best remembered, isn't he, for his time at Chelsea in England between 2014 and 2017. Obviously won 2 Premier League titles, scored a ton of goals, was just in general, one of the best number 9s in Europe in that period. But Dukes, do you think he could still cut it in the Premier League? Because it's been a while now since we've seen him perform at the top level.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big ask. It's worth saying, as you've already pointed out, that he was pretty spectacular during his stint at Chelsea. He scored over 20 league goals twice in 3 seasons there. He's probably been Chelsea's best striker since Drogba, which isn't saying a lot. A lot of those strikers have flopped in that number 9 shirt there. It weighs heavy on so many people at Stamford Bridge. But Diego Costa could carry himself really well. I remember that quote when he joined Chelsea and he went over to John Terry in his first training session. And he said something like, I'm paraphrasing here slightly, but he said something like, I go to war and you follow. And John Terry was like, we've got a player here. And he really did deliver. He was crucial to their 2 title wins, one under Mourinho, one under Conte, then had that spectacular falling out. But his career, I think it's fair to say, has taken a bit of a nosedive since, with 24 goals in 100 games for Atletico Madrid and Atletico Mineiro in the 4 seasons since his departure. So nowhere near his previous standard. And across 17-18 to 2021, his last 4 seasons in Europe, he's been out with 15 separate injuries, with his longest spell 13 games in 18-19 after foot surgery, and then 18 games in 19-20 with a herniated disc, which I know what a slip disc is, and I know what a hernia is, but I'm not quite sure what a herniated disc is. But either way, it doesn't sound great. And he hasn't played more than 1,351 minutes in a top 5 league since leaving Chelsea. And Wolves, as you point out, really do need him. Raul Jimenez, to be honest, it's brutal to say and maybe a little unfair, but he hasn't really looked like the same player since his head injury, which is perhaps understandable, of course. He's just got 11 goals in his last 57 games for the Midlands outfit, and they only managed 38 league goals last term, which was the 4th worst record in the division, and their 3 this term is the joint worst, along with West Ham. So they do need those goals. I feel so sorry for Sasa after an injury hit last year in Stuttgart as well. Massive move to Wolves, was looking like it was going to make a massive difference to that Wolves side, and he gets injured with a serious injury in his first game. Pretty brutal. We wait to see how long he'll be out for. But, Costa, it's difficult to know what sort of shape he'll be in as well. He's been without a club since January, as you point out, and in his last full season in Spain in 1920, he did show that he could still, on occasion, sort of play okay. I mean, he operated at 0.47 expected goals per 90. That's 0.12 more than Wolves' best this season, Raul Jimenez. but that was a fair time ago as well. What sort of shape will he arrive in? Will he be able to do it? Will he be able to stay fit as well? There's so many question marks around this signing. I wouldn't be that excited if I was a Wolves fan, to be totally honest, but having said that, maybe it's the best they could do in this market. I mean, McCubs, we have seen that Wolves have some dangerous other attacking players, like Pedro Neto started the season particularly well. They've now got Gonzalo Guedes. Daniel Podence scored at the weekend. Do you see them managing to find a way of getting Diego Costa into the game?
Like you say, Dukes, it's really difficult to know. Like he's a bit of an unknown entity at this point. Like I don't know enough about what he's been doing, in the months since being released by Mineiro. As well, it's been a while since we've seen him really put up a run of games in a top 5 league. Obviously, that return to Atletico Madrid was pretty disastrous all in all, given the price they paid to bring him back. So, I feel very in the dark over this. I kind of feel like he's not going to be fit enough to start every game for Wolves, and like you say, they didn't really have much of a choice. There aren't really many players out there they could have gone for. Obviously, Jorge Mendes Clards as well, so it makes that easier in terms of the process. But I would be, I'd be hedging my bets with this one. Who knows? Maybe he is capable of scoring 10 Premier League goals. I think that is the kind of top end of what Wolves can expect. And he obviously brings a lot of experience, and given the right kind of circumstances, he brings a lot of drive as well. As a Wolves fan, I'd be excited to see such a star arrive at Molineux. But I would not be expecting the world from him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good 7 years since his peak, probably at Chelsea, and that last year at Atletico Madrid in his first stint there was pretty spectacular as well. But Wolves fans, we want to hear from you. Are you excited by the prospect of this guy signing? And Atletico Mineiro fans, if there's any of you guys watching, what went wrong during his spell in Brazil? Let us know in the comments down below, and let's move on to an awesome result of the week.
Yes, we couldn't go anywhere else for our result of the week. This comes from @Menez18, and no surprises as to who he suggested. It's Milan 3, Inter 2, Dukes. What went on here?
Well, this was an absolute cracker, and we'll get onto it in just a second. But first, I wanted to give some shout-outs for some other results as well. Valencia thrashed Getafe 5-1 yesterday, and then Roma were absolutely humbled by Udinese, losing 4-0 in a game you watched, McCubs. Just quickly before we move on to the Derby della Madonnina, what went wrong for Roma in this game? Horrendous display.
Yeah, I mean, just about everything, to be honest. They had a great chance with Dybala in the first minute, and then from then on, they practically collapsed. I mean, the defence, there's no one really in the defence who covered themselves in glory. The midfield was incredibly soft-centred, so susceptible to the counter-attack, very unlike a kind of classic Mourinho team in terms of dominating possession and just being incredibly soft-centred. Rui Patricio at fault for a couple of goals, Karsdorp at fault for the first. Tammy Abraham going off with a bad shoulder in front of Gareth Southgate, who was in the stadium. So almost everyone in that team had a day to forget, and Mourinho struggled to impact the game with substitutions as much as he tried. So I feel like at Roma this week there will be there's going to be some kind of considerations as to how they go forward over the next few weeks, because I think it kind of exposed their weaknesses, and I think it kind of showed that this team still has a bit of a way to go to kind of match the likes of Inter and Milan and even Juve this term.
Yeah, absolutely. And a quick word on Destiny Udogie as well from Udinese as well. He looks really, really exciting. I think he got an assist, or at least created one of their goals and got a goal as well. I think he's got 2 this season now. He's signed by Spurs in the summer. He's on loan at Udinese for the rest of this year. Looks like a top player. But let's get into our result of the week, which, as we said, was Milan's 3-2 victory over Inter. They came back from 1-0 down after Brozovic's excellently taken opener to win 3-2, with late heroics from Mike Maignan, securing their second consecutive victory over their old adversaries in Serie A. And it was a game that had absolutely everything. It was one of my favourite games of the season. So much drama. It was really, watching it, there was like big sections of the game where there was just one team dominating, then the other. They just took it in turns almost, and it was such like a basketball game. There's very little slow, methodical play in midfield. end to end, so many chances. Milan had 21 shots, Inter had 16. Both sides got 5 on target. XG, interestingly, had it at 1.6 to 2 in Inter's favour, which shows the quality of Milan's finishing as well, and that Inter didn't actually put in a bad attacking display. This was their first fixture, AC Milan that is, since US investment firm Redberg Capital, who also own the New York Yankees, completed their €1.2 billion takeover. And Milan, and in particular Rafa Leao, impressed so much. He netted a finish into the top right corner after Tonali's run. He set up Giroud's lovely taken second as well. And then he scored a wonderful solo goal, making Bastoni and De Vrij look so stupid in the process as well, with a nice shimmy of the hips and then a composed finish as well. Just looks like an absolutely excellent player, Rafa Leao. He's going from strength to strength. And Milan are now one of 4 sides, along with Napoli, Atalanta, who play tonight actually, so they could of course lose that record, and Juventus, who find themselves unbeaten. But unusually for them, their start hasn't been built off a great defence, like we saw at down the stretch last year, where they just conceded so few goals, were just winning 1-0 or even 2-1 on occasion. But this time, they've only kept 2 clean sheets in 5 games, but they've scored 10. Only Inter with 11 and Napoli with 12 have scored more. But what they have shown is a lot of belief. They've come back to beat Udinese. They drew with Atalanta after conceding a 28th minute Malinowski opener, and they beat Inter coming back from 1-0 down as well. So seemingly that title win last year has just installed this sort of belief and commitment to the cause right through Pioli's side, and so many of their players, those young players, are just getting better and better. But Macabres, for Inter Milan, not a good day at the office.
Nah, not at all. And I feel like, that they've kind of lost ground a little bit in terms of the Milan Derby, haven't they? I feel like, now going into these games, people are just going to fancy AC, and that hasn't been necessarily the case for a number of years. But in general, their results have been a little bit concerning. Start of the season, they've lost 2 of their opening 5 games. They only kept 1 clean sheet and have conceded 8 already. Only Cremonese and Monza have conceded more, and obviously those 2 sides have had pretty dire starts to the season as well. Obviously newly promoted, so to be kind of in with them, is a bit of a concern. De Vrij in particular, I know you've expressed your concerns over him in recent weeks, Dukes. He was pretty bad in this game, wasn't he? Pretty slow, pretty sluggish. Lost his man on a number of times. He went charging into midfield, didn't get the ball for the first on Saturday, and then didn't get anywhere near Olivier Giroud for the second. And like you say, Leao beat him easily for the third. Only Napoli are taking more than their 18.2 shots so far this season, but they're conceding 11, which is only the 6th best. That's up from 10.6 last year and 10.2 in the title-winning campaign. So, I mean, these are kind of, metrics that they can definitely improve on in months to come. But I feel like they will. At the moment, looks like they're going to have to kind of grow into this season as they did last year. I still think that they are the favourites for the title. But that defence definitely needs to improve if they are going to live up to that. Inzaghi's also come in for criticism for failing to make his subs quick enough. He waited until the 63rd minute, which, in previous years wouldn't have been, sniffed at really. But with 5 subs now, that is quite late when you're 3-1 down. And when he did come on, Edin Dzeko took 3 shots. He created 2 chances. Obviously scored as well. An excellent goal. Great movement in the box. It begs the question, could he have started even, or at least come on earlier when it looked like they were going to be chasing the game? As for the key performers in the match, Sandro Tonali, brilliant in midfield. Another player who's going from strength to strength at Milan. 4 tackles and interceptions, 3 key passes, 2 shots. And I think he got the assist, did he, for the winner for Leao. Credit to Giroud for his goal and assist, but the man of the match has to be Rafa Leao, doesn't it? 1 dribble, 2 key passes, 5 shots, 2 goals and an assist himself. He's now got 3 goals and 2 assists in 5 Serie A games this season. Already going for that 2nd consecutive MVP award, it seems. Next up for Milan, they travel to RB Salzburg on Tuesday, kicking off the Champions League, in to host Bayern on Wednesday. Dukes, what do you think about these 2 clubs? Do you think they can make a bit of a splash in the Champions League this year?
Yeah, well, they'll be desperate to be honest. Milan had a really difficult group last year. Their performances were probably better than the results, but yeah, didn't get over the line in that group, which contained Liverpool, Atletico Madrid and FC Porto. Inter Milan did get out of the groups for the first time in ages and then put in a really good display against Liverpool, I seem to remember, but just weren't quite clinical enough. But Bayern, actually they've drawn their last couple of games in the Bundesliga. It's not a bad time to play them, but they have been excellent in the Champions League group stages for a number of years, scoring so many goals, conceding so few. They go in as strong favourites for that group of death alongside Barcelona and Viktoria Pilsen. So I think it's going to be incredibly difficult, to be totally honest.
Yeah, fair enough, Diggs, fair enough. Let us know your thoughts on the Milan Derby. And yeah, what do you think of Milan and Inter's chances in the Champions League this year? Let us know down below, and let's move on to our Star of the Week.
It's time for Star of the Week, guys! And this one came in from Football Daily's very own Has Kareem, and it's Aurelien Tchouameni, McCubs.
Yeah, maybe an unorthodox choice this week. We could have picked out Jules Koundé, got 2 assists, obviously, in Barca's 3-0 win over Sevilla. Also, the aforementioned Edoji in the Udinese win over Roma. He was absolutely excellent, as you were saying, Dukes. But yeah, Aurelien Tchouameni, and a very assured display in Real Madrid's what ended up being a relatively comfortable 2-1 victory over Real Betis. Obviously maintains their perfect start to the campaign, the only side in Europe's top 5 leagues to have won all their games. The goals came from Vinicius Jr. With that lovely chip right at the start of the match, and then Rodrigo, who was aided by some pretty sloppy goalkeeping from Rui Silva. However, they did have a ton of chances, didn't they? And they really should have put the game to bed a lot earlier than they did. Benzema somehow missed an open goal. Rui Silva, after he'd made a save, can't remember who that was from. But Tchouameni in general was just kind of essential to them kind of keeping such control in that game, wasn't he? 7 tackles, 3 interceptions, 6 aerial duels won. 89% pass accuracy, also created a chance and took 2 shots himself. Absolutely monster display in the middle of the park against one of the better sides in La Liga as well. And yeah, 2 weeks after Casemiro's sale, it doesn't look like they're missing him that much. But Dukes, what have you made of Tchouameni's start to life in La Liga?
Well, I think he came in for a bit of criticism after his opening game, but actually has responded really well, I think. I think he's now played 4 games, he's got 1 assist. He's averaging 5.2 defensive actions per 90, which is absolutely massive in a side that dominate possession as much as Real Madrid do. But not just that, he's also showing other sides to his game. He's creating nearly 2 chances a game, he's taking 1.4 shots, he's completing over a dribble per game as well. And Real, it feels like they haven't really got out of second gear yet, and yet they have this perfect start to their La Liga campaign. They're 2 points clear of Barcelona, who have turned it on in recent weeks with, 11 goals in the last 3 La Liga games. Robert Lewandowski performing extremely well there. Rafinha, Ousmane Dembele. It looks like a really exciting time to be a Barcelona fan as well. But Real Madrid are just slowly accumulating points and are doing pretty well. They are yet to keep a clean sheet though, which is the only slight concern for Ancelotti's side. They're creating 21 chances per 90 in La Liga, which is sort of Man City levels, even maybe above Man City levels over the last few years. But they are conceding 12, which is only the 11th best. And Eder Militao probably hasn't had his best start to the campaign, but it's too early to write him off just yet. Tchouameni, though, will now turn his attention to making his Champions League debut against Celtic at Celtic Park on Tuesday. This is what he was signed for. This is why he wanted to leave Monaco, to play in these big Champions League nights for the 14-time European champions. And he must be absolutely buzzing. But yeah, fair play to Real Madrid. I don't think they've hit top gear just yet, but at the same time, they're top, they're unbeaten, they've got a perfect record. Fair play to them indeed. And if they've got Tchouameni and Camavinga continuing to grow in midfield, the signs are looking very, very good for a title defence, in my opinion. But guys, that's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed our roundup of all the best of the European action. McCubs, what would you recommend they go and watch now?
Oh, we've got loads of stuff out from over the weekend. Go and check out Continental Club from Friday, where we kind of ranked the best and worst transfers of the window. Go and check out our content on FD. We've got an interview with Jermaine Defoe. We've got a new show called The Come Up, which involves two Rangers and Celtic youngsters interviewing each other. That's a great watch as well. And also EFD Explained from yesterday, we assessed the Antony transfer to Man United and whether he's worth the money.
Perfect. So much stuff to get your teeth stuck into from our weekend. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll catch you later in the week. Goodbye.